Welcome to the second in the series of element flow classes. My name's Karen. Last time we worked with the earth element, which is situated at the basement of our torso, around our pelvis and pelvic floor. And today we're going to move up towards the water element. We happen to be filming on a very rainy day. We live here on the west coast in the rainforest, so very much in touch with water near the ocean. As you know, our bodies are mostly made up of water, and practicing with the water element in flow yoga is just so very natural. We find movement, breath-based movement, but on a greater level, tapping into our ability to flow or to work with flow can remind us in times of change how we can adapt and find a gentle nature to the changes of life, and the power of water too to help us create new patterns. So find a comfortable seat. Let your body settle down into whatever supports you, and then bring your palms together to heart center. Let your jaw soften and your eyelids soften. And let's open the practice with a call of Om. First, a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And breathe in for Om. Now bring your hands down to your legs or to your lap. Bring a gentle toning to the back of your throat. Let's begin Ujjayi breathing, victorious breathing. When you tone your throat, you create a slight narrowing of your air passageway. And this friction makes your breath sound like the ocean. Take your time to breathe slowly and deeply. Let's begin to make small circles with our torso. You can begin by moving in a kind of clockwise direction. The crown of your head, if there was a pencil attached to it, it would be tracing a circle on the ceiling. And each time you move, gradually make the circles a little bit wider. So actually the circle becomes an opening spiral. And maybe your hands begin to be used as grips to press and hold your legs to allow you to move a little bit more fluidly. The next time you sweep through and your chest is forward, then switch the directions, and we'll start with bigger circles. And gradually begin to narrow the circumference of the circle. A little smaller, so your hands can be lighter on your legs, and gradually make your way up to a tall seat again. Okay. Now let's move off our seat, come to your hands and your knees. If you have blocks at home, bring them towards the front of your mat. Create a good platform of support by spreading your fingers wide. You may be familiar with cat lifts and cat tucks, but we're going to take this in a little bit of a different way, letting your hips lead the movement and the rest of your spine follows. Begin with your inhale to tip your pelvis forward, and then let your belly lower, chest lower, and then draw your shoulders back, look forward. When you breathe out, tip your tailbone down, lift through your lower back, middle back, upper back, and lower your head. Roll your pelvis forward first. Gradually let the ripple move up through your spine. And when you exhale, your pelvis leads away again, and the rounding comes up through your spine. So keep doing this a few more times at your own pace. We so often are guided by our minds, at least the space between your ears. So at this time, allow yourself to instead be guided by the movement and the hub of your body. And the seat of the water element in the body is around the second chakra. So this is situated in the center point of our pelvis, above the pelvic floor and below the navel. Okay, now the next time you breathe out, bring your knees just a little wider. Let's settle back into child's pose. We'll take a side body stretch. So reach your arms out towards the right. Place your left hand in a way that helps stretch the left side of your body. Ease your head down gently, maybe onto your right hand, maybe to the mat, and take a slow inhale and a long exhale. Then lift your head and walk across the center. Place your hands to the left, reach out for your right hand enough that you can stretch out your right side. Let your head come down, maybe to your left hand, maybe to the mat. And one more slow inhale and a long exhale. And then lift your head again. Let's come back to downward facing dog, or not, back to, in fact, the first time, downward facing dog. So with your fingers spread, lift your knees up, bring your hips up and back, and allow down dog to be a pose in motion. And so pedal your heels gradually towards the ground, one at a time. This allows you to split the sensations in half, drawing tension gradually in one side and the other. Okay, and then bring your feet down evenly, your heels down evenly, and with your fingers spread wide, inhale to roll forward to plank pose. Start with a rounded spine, then smooth out your spine. And as you exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog, really lifting through your lower belly. Inhale, again, come forward to plank pose, a slow ripple up, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, 2 more times, and inhale, rolling forward until you meet plank. And an exhale, lift your hips up and back, and then one more time, inhale. And exhale. Okay, as you meet down dog, breathe in to lift your heels up higher. Breathe out, bend your knees, look forward. You can walk, stride, or hop forward into a halfway lift. And exhale to bow. Let's do this 2 more times. So an inhale, slowly roll your spine up halfway, and then exhale, bow in. One more time, inhale, smoothing from the bottom to the top. Exhale to fold. Okay, with a little bend in your knees, rise up to stand, reach your arms up at the top of your breath. And then as you exhale, mountain pose. Okay, take a moment to pause in mountain pose. Bring yourself over the arches of your feet. And I welcome you today that anytime that you might normally be a little bit more still in a pose, that you can create some mindful movement. So you can settle into a place of balance, kind of like a pendulum finds its way back through gravity. Okay. Now as you breathe in next time, float your arms up. As you breathe out, bend your knees, sit down in chair pose. As you inhale, keep your hips low, lift up through your thumbs. And then exhale, bring your upper body towards your thighs, reach back through your arms. As you inhale, come back up into chair. And exhale to sweep back. Okay, 2 more times, and inhale, chair pose. And exhale. And then 1 more time, and inhale. And an exhale. Now this time a halfway lift as you inhale, maybe your hands are on your shins. Exhale, step your right foot back. We'll come up to a high lunge, so settle in with a little bend in your back knee. Breathe in to lift your upper body and bring your arms up too. Okay, so take a moment to find your balance. Hug your inner thighs towards each other. As you inhale, stay lifted through your chest. As you exhale, making fists round your spine, put a little extra bend in your right knee. And then inhale, come back up to a high lunge. Maybe your right leg straightens a little more. And then exhale, bend your knee, curling in. A couple more, inhale. And exhale. 1 more, inhale. Great, and exhale. So with the next inhale, let's find the high lunge again, crescent pose. And as you exhale, lean forward, bring your hands down to the ground. Lift up the three-legged dog as you inhale. And as you exhale, bend your left knee, come forward to round your spine, bring your nose up to your knee, and then inhale, stretch your leg up and back. And exhale to curl in. Okay, let's just do one more of these with an inhale, float up. And then exhale to curl. Now step into plank, so bring your left foot back, your chest forward. As you exhale, bend your elbows, lower down to the mat. Untuck your toes, take your fingertips wider, and with an inhale, lift up through your chest. As you exhale, bring your left shoulder down, bring your gaze towards the right. As you inhale, roll your left shoulder back, come back up to center. Exhale, right shoulder down. Okay, one more on each side, and inhale. Exhale with your left shoulder down. Inhale, back up. And exhale, right shoulder down. Great, roll your right shoulder back as you inhale. As you exhale, lean forward, bring your palms down, curl your toes, downward facing dog. Okay, we've been moving a lot. Let's just take a few moments to find your breath in down dog. Remembering ujjayi breathing. Actually, when you're in down dog, there's naturally created just a little bit of a constriction in your throat, so that can serve ujjayi well. Okay. Preparing to move on. As you inhale, float your left leg up, three-legged dog. Step your left foot in between your hands. Spin your right heel flat to the ground, and then circle your arms up, warrior two pose. Okay, so we're gonna flow back and forth a few times. When you inhale, lean just a little bit to the right, and then exhale, lean a little off to the left. Inhale over to the right, and then exhale to the left. So really moving from your core. Inhale, draw back, and exhale forward. Okay, and then one more time, breathing in. And an exhale. Now keep the lean forward, hug your feet towards each other, gradually straighten out your left leg. Tuck your left hip underneath you, lift your lower belly to your spine, then Trikonasana, triangle pose. So here your hand can come to a block if you wish, or your leg, or the ground. And let's hold triangle pose in stillness with your breath, so there can be a pulsation as you breathe. And even in a pose like this where we're coming towards straighter edges, let there be a gentleness about the extension you find in your body, a fluidity. Okay. Now let's take one more breath in triangle pose. Then look down towards the ground and bend your left knee. Bring your hands down around your left foot. Step your left foot wider so you're in a runner's lunge, and then square your hips towards the front of the mat. Keep your right hand down. It can be on a block or the ground. As you inhale, reach your left arm wide and up. And as you exhale, sweep your left fingertips behind your right wrist so your left shoulder gets a little lower. And then inhale, open up into a twist. And exhale to unwind. Two more, and inhale. And an exhale. And then one more time, inhale. And exhale. Okay, place your left hand to the ground underneath your shoulder. Step your left foot a little wider to the left. We're going to step forward to a squat. So bring your right foot forward too, and walk your feet out towards the edges of your mat. Turn your toes a little wider than your heels, and then settle your hips down. Okay, we're gonna move again. So first, finding the squat with your knees wide. Try taking your right fingertips behind your right leg, find the ground behind your heel, put a little weight into your hand, and as you inhale, reach to the left, carefully lift your hips. And as you exhale, lower your hips. Take your left hand back similarly. Inhale, reach, maybe lift your hips a little. Great. And exhale, following through. So I'll leave it up to you. As you inhale, if your hips can go higher, by all means do. And an exhale to come around. And inhale, explore your front body. And exhale, there'll be one more on each side. A breath in. And a breath out, sweeping around. One more. And an exhale. Okay, bring your hands down. Lift your hips up, bring your feet a little closer. As you inhale, come up to a halfway lift. As you exhale, fold. Then let's come up to stand, nice and slow, up to a full stretch. And mountain pose. Okay. Let your breath settle you. Bring a gentle nature to your shoulders, length through your neck, and ease into your jaw. The ocean sound of your breath soothing you. Okay. As you breathe in again, float your arms up. Bend your knees, Utkatasana chair pose. Stay with chair as you inhale. Exhale, bring your upper body towards your thighs. Reach your arms back. Inhale into chair. And exhale to reach. Inhale in chair. We've got 2 more. And an exhale. Okay, and inhale. 1 more from here. Exhale. Okay, as you inhale, a halfway lift, lengthen through your spine. And then step your left foot back. We're coming up to a high lunge, so take a moment to stabilize your legs, put a little bend in your back knee, lift your upper body, and then raise your arms up. And try to draw your right hip back and your left hip forward so you're as stable as you can be through your pelvis. Now as you breathe in, stay upright, reach up. As you exhale, bend your elbows, make fists, put a little extra bend in your back knee, look down, inhale, expand your front body. And exhale to curl. Okay, as you inhale, come to the lunge, maybe you straighten your back leg out a little, and then exhale, curl in. Great, again, inhale. And exhale. Okay, lean forward, reach down towards the ground, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, 3-legged dog, bring your right leg up and back. As you exhale, bend your knee, bring your thigh in towards your chest. Inhale, 3-legged dog. And exhale to curl in. Okay, 1 more time, and inhale. And an exhale. Now we're moving to plank. As you inhale, bring your right foot back, chest forward. And then bend your elbows to lower. Untuck your toes with your fingertips wide. Inhale, lift your chest. This time, draw your right shoulder down first. Look over to the left. Inhale, roll your right shoulder back. Exhale, draw your left shoulder down. 1 more on each side, and inhale. And an exhale. An inhale. And an exhale. Okay, breathe in, come back up to center. As you breathe out, lean forward, bring your palms by your ribs, downward facing dog. And again, a moment to pause. With strong breathing, let your body move subtly. Let your exhalations be long and slow. As you inhale, float your right leg up, 3-legged dog. Step your right foot forward between your hands, spin your left heel flat, and come up to warrior 2. So open your arms out wide. Settle down through your shoulders. Swaying back and forth with an inhale, lean a little to the left. And then exhale more to the right. Okay, kind of like seaweed, back and forth with an exhale. Okay, an inhale. And an exhale. And 1 more time, inhaling. And an exhale. Now keep the forward lean, hug your feet towards each other, gradually straighten out your right leg, tuck your right hip under, and then bring your right hand down. So it can be your leg, it can be a block, it can be the ground that you can push in firmly to help lengthen out your spine. And again, as we pause, relatively in stillness, let your breath be big enough that you can feel change. When you breathe out next time, look down, bend your right knee, bring both hands down around your right foot and step your right foot wider. And then roll your right hip back and bring your left hip forward so your hips are more square. Keep your left hand down. Inhale to twist to the right, reach up. Exhale, bring your right hand down behind your left wrist. Inhale, open and turn. And then exhale, curl in. A couple more and inhale. And an exhale. Great, breathe in one more time. And exhale. Okay, bring your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Actually step your right foot a little wider so your right hand can be underneath your shoulder still. And then step your left foot up. Preparing for a squat, take your toes a little wider, your hips down. Lift up through your front body. Let's start with your left hand this time. Breathe in to take your left hand back, reach up, maybe lift your hips. And exhale, lower your hips, sweep around, right side, inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale, one more on each side. Breathe in to lift and open your front body. Exhale to give you time to move around and a breath in. Great. And then an exhale. Come forward and pause. Okay, maybe a squat feels good to sit in. If you'd like to come into Bakasana crow pose, bring your hands down, lift your hips up, step your feet a little closer. It can be as close as your heels touching. Bring your palms down, fingers wide, and then squeeze your knees into your upper arm bones. Lift your lower belly to your spine. Lean forward, bend your elbows, and lift your feet. Your feet can hover. It can be one foot at a time, or both feet up with your heels towards your sitting bones. Try to lengthen the center of your chest forward and roll your shoulders back. If your feet are up, bring your feet down. If your hips are low, lift your hips up. Standing forward fold. Yeah, just let it be gentle. Maybe form a cradle with your arms and rock a little side to side. Okay. Let's come up to stand. If you'd like to roll your way up, put a bend in your knees so that can be very stable for your spine. Come up to mountain pose. So we're going to use movement to guide us towards a balance, towards warrior three. Take your hands to heart center. Shift your weight into your left foot. And then lift your right knee, and so it can hover or you can lift it up higher. Now as you inhale, reach your fingertips up. As you exhale, like you're stepping back into a little lunge, hover your right toes just off the mat. And then inhale, bring your knee up again. And then exhale as if it's a little lunge. Inhale to come up. And exhale back. Okay, we'll take one more as you inhale. Exhale, prepare warrior three. So lean forward, straighten out your left leg, and you can stay more upright or you can lean in further. And your hands could come to heart center if you prefer. You could also bring your hands down to blocks, and I'll go there. I'll just get underneath Chris's hands. Okay, let's take a few breaths in steadiness. Roll your left hip back, hug your right inner thigh forward. 2 more breaths. What are you doing to me? Okay, bend your left knee, step back into a lunge. A runner's lunge, so bring your hands down to the ground. Now take your right hand ahead of your shoulder and wide off to the right. And then lift your left toes and turn on your left heel, so your left toes go out 90 degrees. And pivot onto the outer edge of your right foot. So you're swiveling your body into a variation of side plank pose. Make sure your right wrist is ahead of your right shoulder. As you breathe in, reach your left arm up, turn your left palm towards the front of your mat. As you exhale, lower your right hip towards your mat, bring your left hand down towards your right inner thigh. Inhale, lift your hips and sweep your arm all the way up and over. And then exhale, lower your hips with care, hand down. Inhale to lift. And exhale to lower. We'll do this one more time. And inhale. Right. And an exhale. Okay, lift your hips up enough that you can turn forward into a runner's lunge. Plant your hands down firmly, and then lift your left foot up, three-legged dog. This time, lift your left hip above your right and place a bend in your left knee. Really put lots of weight into your left hand as you're just weight bearing on your right one. You can even lift the heel of your right hand if you wish. Try to draw your left outer knee up and hug your heel back and down. And slowly straighten out your left leg. Bring your toes to the ground. You can pause in down dog or move through a vinyasa if you wish. And this time the vinyasa, if you're taking it, holds any options that you enjoy. Cobra, upward facing dog, or otherwise. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. Okay. Let's take a clearing breath. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. As you inhale, float your left leg up, three-legged dog. And step your left foot forward in between your hands. Spin your right heel flat. And let's come up to warrior two pose. Okay. Last time we were here, we were swaying a little side to side. We're going to add a little bit more to this. This is inspiration through a lineage of teachers, Clara, and then Shiva before that, not mine. As you inhale, sweep your left arm up and over, push your right palm forward. And then exhale, sweep your right hand up and over, push your left hand towards the back of the mat. Inhale, up and over, your right palm pressing forward, and then exhale the other way, left palm. Two more, inhale. And exhale. One more. And exhale. Extended side angle. Your left elbow can come to your left thigh. If you wish, you could bring your hand to a block or towards the ground. Allow your left arm to be weight-bearing enough that you can draw your left hip back, really lengthen out your spine with a little lift through the center of your chest. Maybe an upward turn through your gaze. And with your feet firm, look down, bring your right hand to your right hip. Moving to half moon pose, you can either step your left foot back or move your right foot forward, narrowing your stance. Step forward onto your left foot alone and raise your right leg up. Both hands could be down, or it could just be your left hand with your right hand to your right hip. And if you wish, reach your right fingertips up to the ceiling. If you enjoy playing with the pose, I welcome you to bend your right knee, adding the Chapasana variation. Take your hand towards the top of your right foot. If your hand's on your foot, let it go. Stretch out half moon pose. Look down to the ground, put a little bend in your left knee, bring your right hand down, a runner's lunge, step your right foot back. With your hands underneath your shoulders, float your left leg up and back like we did before. Lift your left hip over your right, bend your left knee. If you'd like to take this to Wild Thing pose, roll to the outer edge of your right foot, slowly set your left toes down, and lift up through your front body. Down dog. Okay, we got to get to the front of the mat. Let's do it mindfully, yogically, with an inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward, steps or a hop bring you forward to a halfway lift. And a forward fold. Then come up to stand. Mountain pose. Okay, pretty warm water now, hey? Okay. Shift your weight to your right foot. Bring your hands to heart center. Lift your left knee, hovering your foot, or lift your knee up higher. And then reach your arms up with your palms facing each other. Here you breathe in. As you exhale, like you're stepping to a little lunge, hover your left toes. Inhale, lift your left knee. Exhale as if you were stepping to a lunge. Two more, and inhale. Keep your hands soft as you exhale. One more. And an exhale. Now warrior three. So stretch out your right standing leg, lean forward. So your hands, let's navigate each other. Your hands can stay lifted. Oh man, your hands can stay lifted, or you can come down to the ground with your hands. Hug your left inner thigh forward as you hold your right hip back. Keep your breath steady. Take two more. Reach down for the ground, bring your hands down underneath your shoulders, a runner's lunge. Now your left hand, take it forward of your shoulder and off to the left. Lift your right heel, turn your right toes as wide as 90 degrees, and then roll to the outer edge of your left foot. Again, just checking your left hand is ahead of your shoulders so you don't over-compress your wrist, and reach up through your top arm. Turn your right palm forward, inhale this way. As you exhale, lower your left hip, bring your right hand towards your left inner thigh, and then inhale, lift up, turn your palm forward, reach forward, and then exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Inhaling up. And exhale down. Okay, float your hips up. Look towards the ground, bring your palms down, turn your feet forward. We're moving to three-legged dog, so lift your right leg up and back. Then float your right hip above your left one and place a bend in your right knee. Be really firm through your right hand, lower your right shoulder to the height of your left one. You don't need your left wrist so much, you could even give it a break by lifting your the heel of your hand up beyond your fingertips. And slowly bring your right knee down, your right foot down, even through your hands and feet. Maybe you pause here, maybe it's child's pose or a vinyasa. A couple breaths to move if you wish, choosing a variation that your body appreciates in this time. Okay. Let's take a moment to chill out with the breath. Ujjayi breathing. Preparing to move again, start in downward facing dog. As you inhale, float your right leg up, and then step your right foot forward between your hands, spin your left heel to the ground, and circle your arms up, warrior two. Okay, so settle into the lunge of your right knee over your right heel with your chest turned sideways, arms wide. When you inhale next time, like exalted warrior, but press your left palm forward. And then exhale, like extended side angle, but press your right palm back. Okay, and inhale, lean back, but your left hand presses forward, and then exhale, opposite through your arms. Two more. With an exhale. And an inhale. And an exhale. Okay, stay leaning forward. Bring your right arm down to help support you. Maybe your elbow's on your thigh. Maybe your hand reaches for a block or the ground. Push down firmly enough that you can roll your right hip under you. Hug your inner thighs towards each other. And then lift up through the center of your chest. Maybe you turn your gaze up and underneath your left arm. Bring your left hand to your hip. To move to half moon pose, shorten your stride, either right foot back or left foot forward. And then walk your right hand ahead of your right foot to take a step onto your right foot. And remember, both hands can be down. Try to keep your left hip floating. If you're okay on one hand, bring your left hand up to your hip. You can reach up or bend your left knee, the Shavasana variation, to grab a hold of your left foot. Your heel can be held in, or you can press the top of your foot into your hand, a little more like a back bend. And then release slowly. Bring both hands down, bend your right knee, step your left foot back, a runner's lunge. Now with your palms down, lift your right foot up and back, three-legged dog. Open your hips, lift your right hip above your left. Bend your right knee. Here you can stay, or if you'd like to move to Wild Thing pose, come to the outer edge of your left foot. Slowly lower your right toes. Open up through your front body. Reach up or reach forward. This feels more like back, doesn't it? And down dog. All right, let's take a clearing breath. Inhale. Exhale. All right. Pigeon pose with your left leg. This can also be figure 4 on your back. If you're comfortable with pigeon pose, bring your knee forward. Maybe a block comes underneath your hip, maybe a bolster. You can also lean forward using a block underneath your elbows. Yeah, so Chris is gonna go for figure 4. You can just look at the screen if you'd like to move into a variation. If you feel any impingement in your left knee, any risk there, then it's worthwhile taking the load off the joint. Okay, we're going to take a few breaths in stillness, and then there'll be an option to move into a back bend, or you can just stay with the pose you're creating. Slow down your breath. Let the exhalations be especially long. So you can stay as you are. If you'd like to come towards the back bend, we're working towards mermaid pose, so thinking of the sea. Walk your hands under your shoulders. I recommend bringing your left heel a little closer to the space underneath your right hip, maybe a block underneath your left one. Bend your right knee and reach your right hand back. And since if you're in figure 4, if you'd like a thigh stretch, you could also roll onto your side, onto your left side, and bend your right knee and hug your heel in. So as your heel moves towards the back of your hips, it could be your hand holding it in, maybe your left hand's reaching ahead of you. You could also move your foot into the crook of your elbow. If that's working out, bend your right elbow, bring your hand closer to your shoulder, lift up through the center of your chest so there's a little turn off to the right. Sweep your left hand up and over so your fingertips may come close, maybe they're apart from each other. Okay, so let's release. Depending on the pose you came into, this could be a release on your back. Maybe your knees sway side to side. Or if you're coming out of pigeon pose and mermaid's pose, it's downward facing dog. As you're ready, we'll move to the second side. Bring your right knee forward if it's pigeon, or across the outer edge of your right foot to your left thigh if it's going to be figure 4. Use props as you need to support your body well. So you're taking the load out of sensitive joints, moving it through bigger, more stabilizing joints around your hips. And then if you have room to lean forward, then go ahead. Each time you breathe in, let the breath start around your belly, your pelvis, and move up towards your chest. And when you exhale, take your time to settle the breath down towards a space in your pelvis and pelvic floor. So the breath continues to create a motion, a wave-like motion through your body. This helps to balance your nervous system. We're down-regulating a little bit after the activity of the practice and letting yourself get a bit more grounded, but still feeling the motion, the pendulum-like motion of the breath. So you can stay with the pose you've created. If you'd like to move towards mermaid's pose, walk your hands up towards your hips. So again, it becomes kind of a back bend. If you feel better to bring your right heel in and lengthen your tailbone down, you can bring your left knee forward a little bit. And then bend your left knee for a thigh stretch. Reach your left hand back towards your foot. You may be leaning forward into your right hand. This is no problem. You can stay this way. If you're okay with your right hand up, then turn a little to the left. You can hook the crook of your elbow around your left hand if that works, and sweep your right arm up and over. Maybe your hands come towards each other or clasp your hands. Yeah, and Chris is doing the thigh stretch variation, so lying on your right side this time, you can stretch out your left thigh if that works better in your body. Yes, Chris just made a comment about this. Quite funny. All right, and let's come back to the pose you created. Back to downward facing dog or onto your back. If you're coming into down dog, then we're just gonna be here briefly and we'll meet you on your back if you're already there. So that can be a couple steps forward or come with your knees to the ground, sweep your legs around and move onto your back, okay? Just a little bit more water before we find some stillness. Bring the soles of your feet down to the ground. Bring your palms down by your sides. And then lift your feet up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to take a variation of ocean's flow. So as you inhale, bring your heels just a little closer to the front of your mat so you can gather momentum. As you exhale, bring your feet towards the back of your mat, roll up through your spine, plow pose. Inhale, bring your hips down, feet forward. And then exhale, feet back, roll up. A couple more. You can just work at your own pace. And I'll just tell you where we're going so you can prepare. If shoulder stand works in your body, then the next time you roll up, you could bend your elbows and take your hands to the back of your hips and tuck your shoulder blades in, lift your feet up. If you prefer, you can bring your hips down onto blocks. So I'll take that. So it could be a block, 2 blocks, or a bolster underneath your hips, supported reverse posture. With your arms down or your arms up, your feet down or your feet up. A little downward slope to your body. If there's any variations not mentioned that you enjoy, feel free to bring them in. Settle into a rhythm that serves to keep you present in your body. If you're in shoulder stand or reverse posture with your hands on your hips, if you'd like to come to plow pose, then fold at your hips and bring your feet back, creating a forward fold. And it can be a fairly intense forward fold, so if it works best for you to bend your knees a little bit and bring some slack to your back body. And then let's bring ourselves back down to the mat, either rolling down through your spine, or if your hips are on a block, just slide the blocks off to the side, let your hips come down. Bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees open apart from each other. This could be a time to, if you enjoy fish pose, if you'd rather take fish pose, Matsyasana, it would fit well with what we've been doing, working with a front body opener, as is recline bound angle that we're guiding into. So with your knees open wide, let your lower back come into a little lift. If you feel good to take your elbows wide, rest the backs of your hands on the ground. And allow the breath to continue to create a wave-like motion in your body, reminding you of your fluidity, your ability to adapt. Into one last pose before Shavasana. This is going to be a reclined twist. I'll offer a basic 2-knee twist, but that's not the $2 twist, but 2 knees at once. If you have a different twist you enjoy, one day we'll do the $2 twist, but not today. All right, if you have another twist you enjoy, feel free to do that. Let's take our knees towards the left first. Rest your right hand down onto your, actually that'll be your left hand down onto your right knee and open out through your right arm. You can also turn your gaze towards the right if that feels good in your body. A block between your knees may also help create some stability for your lower back and your hips. Let the breath honor the watery nature of your body. Still moving slowly. Before you unwind, create a little toning through your mid-body, some downward pressure through your left arm, and then raise your knees back up. Okay, we'll take our knees to the right next. So with your knees up, maybe a block between your knees, roll your knees down towards the ground, towards the right. On this side, your right hand may come up to your left knee and help ground your legs. With your left arm open, there could be a bend in your elbow. Your arm can be at shoulder level or lower or higher. Your gaze could be towards the ceiling or turn towards the left. Prepare to unwind. Draw your lower belly in, press down through your right arm, float your legs back up. So here we prepare for Shavasana, our final pose. Center your hips, stretch out your legs. Any Shavasana or pre-Shavasana rituals you have, go ahead. Maybe that's putting on something warm. Or maybe putting a bolster underneath your knees or something low and soft behind your head. Let's enter Shavasana with a clearing breath. Inhale. Exhale. movement into your body. A deeper breath. When you're ready, with your right arm overhead, roll over to your right side, fetal pose. And press away from the ground. Bring yourself up to a comfortable seat. And close your eyes. Let your hips be grounded. And bring your palms together to heart center. Thank you for your practice. Namaste. Thank you.